advised to test those. And here's the thing, gentlemen, if the test dose does not work in the office, the visit is free. They also have 5 locations out there to serve you, so there are no excuses. Go get treated. You can go to Fort Collins, North Denver, Central Denver, Castle Rock, and Colorado Springs. So give them a call today at 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
All right, football fans, Foundation Kia wants you to catch a ride to the playoffs in an all-new Kia Sportage plug-in hybrid.
We got cars, yes we do!
With all-wheel drive, bold style, and smart tech that reads the field, this SUV is built for the mile high.
Woohoo!
Go Gridiron! Go big savings! Go Foundation! See us in Wheat Ridge or visit FoundationKia.com and catch a ride.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what I just opened for Valentine's Day. A sapphire ring from Helzberg. Just like the one I lost years ago. Remember how excited I was when you gave it to me? I cannot believe you remembered that story. I guess you were right. I really found the one.
This Valentine's Day, create a moment that means something with up to 40% off gifts at Helzberg. Shop in store or at Helzberg.com.
Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian Sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Football and King's irresistible Hawaiian Sliders. There's nothing like it.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3, The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more, DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Thursday night in the Mile High City. He's Danilo Pirro. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. A little wagon wheel to bring us in on this Thursday. I love it. Put me in a good mood. Obviously, this time next week's going to be tough because the Super Bowl is going to be creeping closer and closer. We're going to get more disappointed that the Broncos aren't in the big game. But Anilo, it's the story that sort of lives on. The Sean Payton, Bo Nix dueling statements, if you will, on Bo's ankle. Sean, of course, said the night that Bo broke his ankle that it's his third one. He had one in high school, had one at Auburn, and if Sean had known, he wouldn't have drafted him. He said it in jest. He said it smiling. He said it joking. I want to be clear on that. But he did say it in front of a hot microphone. I don't think Bo Nix loved it. And then on Tuesday, Sean Payton says that he was predisposed to the ankle injury, and it was a matter of when, not if. What's your biggest takeaway on Bo Nix taking, I would say, a little bit of an issue with each of those two comments that were made at two very different times? One the Saturday night after it happened, the other on Tuesday at the end of season presser.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. First and foremost, this entire conversation just seems extremely unnecessary. Like, I can't believe that. I mean, I guess I could believe that we're having this conversation just based on how things have played out before. But this is one of those situations where I'm like, this is what we're talking about? Like, this should have been the end of the season, looking forward to 2026, not talking about lingering ankle issues from your quarterback that went out towards the end of the AFC Championship game, or excuse me, the AFC Divisional round and did not play in the AFC Championship game. But with respect to Bo Nix, I'm fine with it. I mean, if you're Bo, you got to stand up for yourself. And Sean, as you kind of alluded to, in jest, firing from the hip a little bit with some of his comments, like, Bo probably is annoyed to a certain extent. At least that's how it came across in the quotes that came out from the Zoom press conference that happened yesterday. And if you're Bo, you're going into the most critical year of your NFL career. Year 3, Sean Payton system, a team that just went to the AFC Championship game. You're due for a massive payday sooner rather than later. You don't want this narrative around yourself of injury-prone, ankle problems, this, that, the other. So I'm fine with Bo Nix doing the Zoom call, doing the press conference, and clearing the air and giving his side of the story. But it's just such an unnecessary thing to have to be happening in the aftermath of what was an incredible Broncos season.
Yeah, and Sean Payton even said at his presser on Tuesday, I got to stop joking because my jokes get me in trouble. And Saturday was clearly a joke. And honestly, it was kind of one of those nervous jokes, right? Yeah. And I'm talking about the Saturday after the Bills. Like, when you get bad news, sometimes people will try to lighten the mood a little bit. No one died, obviously, but someone did break their ankle and was going to be out for the season. And I think Sean was trying to lighten the mood. You were in the room there at Empower Field at Mile High after this incredible win over the Bills, followed by this deflating news about Bo, with him saying it's the third one and maybe I wouldn't have drafted him. Again, he was trying to joke.
Yes.
The problem was that maybe that wasn't the time or place for the quote-unquote joke. And then to 9 days later, just start talking about the surgery and you know, the doctor said he was predisposed and it was a matter of when, not if. It's a little funny that Sean Payton never really talks at injuries, doesn't like to talk about them at all.
Shoot it down.
And then was kind of an open book in this situation. And I get it, the season's over. There can be a transparency. It's like in hockey. You know, once the team gets out of the playoffs or wins the cup, you're like, oh, so-and-so was playing with a broken foot that we didn't know about.
Look at Josh Allen today at the press conference.
Exactly. He shows up with his broken foot. So I see what you're saying. That I think Bo more just wanted to clear the air, if you will. And we can replay some of the sound. I know people have heard it. But the problem was when Bo said he shouldn't be talking about how many surgeries I had, that was a clear disconnect between head coach and franchise QB.
Yeah, the entire situation is bizarre. And also the timing of the Bo Nix press conference, right? Like, our little team here at Denver Sports, we're trying to figure out what our plan is for the week, and we hear from Greg Penner, and it's like, okay, that's probably it for Broncos end-of-season media availability. And then, like, 90 minutes later, it comes out that Bo Nix is going to meet with the media in the afternoon over Zoom, and we're like, huh? What? And then you hear kind of the tone of the conversation, and look, I understand why Bo Nix said what he said. I think he has the right to say that. And Sean, again, I've said it one time already, I think he was just firing from the hip. I don't think there's any malicious intent from one side or the other. Remember, Sean Payton is the guy that was nervous that other teams were going to trade up and draft Bo Nix before the Denver Broncos had the opportunity to. So Bo Nix has been Sean Payton's guy since the moment he laid eyes on him in the pre-draft process. But I also think this is a little bit of Bo emerging maybe a bit as a vocal leader, putting his foot down per se. Like, he's not a rookie anymore. He just completed his second full season in the NFL and led a team to the AFC Championship game. And I'm not saying Sean is necessarily pushing Bo around, but we've seen the interactions on the sidelines and maybe some natural frustration boil over. I think this is Bo, to a certain extent, being like, enough's enough, man. Like, I'm okay. Let me tell my story. Don't tell it for me.
Yeah, and here's Bo Nix just one more time. This was, he had a couple strong answers yesterday, but this was, in my opinion, the strongest.
Nothing predisposed, nothing that was there originally. I might have gotten confused, but it's just a simple step with my foot up in the air. My body weight came down on it, and sort of got twisted up and got out of there pretty quick. I think that's the good part of being athletic. Sometimes your body gets out of worse situations, so could have been a worse landing, but I think all that force went into the only place it could, and was just one of those missteps, and didn't have any predisposed issues. Man, my ankles were feeling really good. I don't think he really should share how many surgeries I've had in the past, to be honest with you, but because I don't, he doesn't really even know that. But I think it's going to be good, to get back, get to work, start from ground zero, work from the bottom up, get back to training, and nothing really that concerns me, nothing that scares me going forward, like I'm injury prone or anything. This is one of those just inconvenient football plays, and I'm excited already to get back to work, and can't necessarily avoid anything in the future, but I feel really good that my body's going to be in good shape.
I mean, that's the $1 million answer right there from Bo Nix. 2 different times, I'm not predisposed, and he really shouldn't be talking about how many surgeries I had because he doesn't even know. I mean, that in 80 seconds right there from Bo was a couple shots fired at Sean Payton, if we're just calling it like it is. And I'm with you. I don't think Sean's doing anything malicious here. I don't think this is an attempt at sabotage, anything like that. But what I do know is that if I'm Bo Nix, I'm slated to sign a contract worth maybe $50 million a year coming up here probably after next season, maybe the year after that. We'll see. They probably don't want to do fifth-year option with him. They probably just want to get him locked down. But my point is, I think all of us would be a little defensive if we were looking at $250 million generational wealth, and all of a sudden there's now some concerns that I'm quote-unquote injury prone.
Yeah, and I thought it was telling that he used the word injury prone of, like, in the sense that he's not.
I'm not injury prone.
Because if we're just reading between the lines, Bo's probably, when he hears those words from Sean Payton, probably thinking of like, oh, Sean's saying I'm injury prone, and he probably sees some of the narratives that are going around online as well. I mean, it's just a sloppy ending to a really good season. It's just the opposite way. And look, it sucks. It sucks that Bo Nix got banged up. It stinks that Jared Stidham didn't play that well. It stinks they didn't win the AFC Championship game. It stinks that Will Lutz couldn't make a couple of kicks. All of that is terrible. But the fact that this conversation is now dominating the end of season, talk around this team is just very bizarre and self-inflicted. And again, to your point, Sean is a guy that has shot down. I've been in a lot of those press conferences this year, going back to training camp throughout the regular season and the playoffs. You ask about the injury, it is a very stern look in the eye. I'm not talking about that. Like, that was the type of dynamic and energy we were getting from Sean Payton in those scenarios. So the fact that he brings it up unprompted, again, funny or not funny, joking or not joking, there's just no need to do it. The pot is being stirred right now for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not us necessarily stirring the pot. We're just passing along the news. Like, yes. We're just playing Bo Nix in his very own words, and his own words, we're not real thrilled about how this whole situation has developed. So then let's go bigger picture on this. What's your gut on sort of long-term ramifications, if any, from this little, not spat, that's too strong a word, kerfuffle?
Let's talk about Bo Nix first, and then I'll talk about the Bo-Sean dynamic.
Okay.
I listened to Mike Evans yesterday, and I heard Zach and Phil talking about it a little bit on my drive in here to do the show. Like, I'm not worried about Bo Nix long term, but if we are kind of reading between the tea leaves, and he has had multiple procedures, remember the cleanup after last season, now the surgery obviously this year, maybe there are some, I don't want to say questions, fair or unfair. You wonder if the ankle is something that maybe creeps up for Bo down the line. But he's been an Iron Man for this team. He's been the heart and soul of this team. I'm not worried about Bo Nix.
Had played in every game before the AFC title game.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Bo Nix long-term with this Broncos team or over the lifespan of what his eventual contract will be. Now, I think Bo and Sean have a good relationship, and maybe you want to compare it. Maybe brothers isn't the right way to compare it, but when you're with your family on a family vacation, and you love your brothers, you love your sisters, you love your parents, but sometimes you're going to butt heads because you're with them so much. I think we saw some of that maybe play out throughout the course of the regular season, whether because of play calling or just frustration with overall flow of the offense. I think Bo and Sean are going to be fine. But if we see more situations arise and maybe more contentious situations arise as next year plays out, we're going to look back to this moment and be like, oh, was this the start of a relationship fracture? And again, I don't think that's the case, but this is the conversation we're able to have right now just because of the duality of both sides of the story.
Yeah, and I like your analogy there. My only pushback would be, should a 62-year-old and a 25-year-old have a brotherly relationship?
I didn't know how else to really compare, but
I know what you're saying, but there's constant tension, it feels like.
Yes.
There's always just a little bit of tension. And it feels like every time on the sideline that Bo and Sean get together, obviously the one against the Raiders is the most famous one last year, but I'd say once every 6 games or so, maybe 3 times a season, you do notice like the CBS or the Fox cameras are on them, and you're like, oh, that was animated, right? Bo doesn't take any crap from anyone. And he won't even do it from Sean, who's probably a future Hall of Fame head coach. And I think Sean deep down does like that. I think Sean likes getting challenged. Yep. You'll remember when he chewed out Russell Wilson in Detroit, and Russ just sat there and took it. Mm-hmm. And I think Sean was like, wow, you're not gonna bark back at me at all. That's interesting. Bo's a barker. Bo will bark back at the head coach. I do think, too, though, that I think you hinted at it. It's one that you can't just say nothing to see here. It's one that you kind of have to tuck away. It's one that you have to tuck away of if something happens next year, it goes, maybe they're not quite on the same page. It's one just to keep in the back of your mind.
Well, and I think the other part of it is, look, when Sean Payton was hired as head coach, it was firmly his team, and it still is his team, right? He turned this organization around, making it, going back to their winning ways and being competitive and competing for championships. All of that is in large part because of Sean Payton. But with the way that Bo Nix played in his rookie year and the steps and the comeback victories that we saw in his second year, I also think that Bo Nix is starting to take command of the room to a certain extent. And I don't think that makes Sean angry or anything like that. You just go back to his relationship with Drew Brees. But I also think that Bo has cemented himself more so as a leader of the Denver Broncos throughout the course of this season and heading into this offseason than it was in the case when he was first drafted. So maybe there's a power dynamic that potentially plays out here. And again, I think it's Bo just putting his foot down and saying, this is ridiculous. Don't speak for me. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't tell my story for me. Hear it from me myself.
Yeah, it's been an odd 96 hours, if
Very
you will,
strange.
or so for the Denver Broncos. All right, there is other Broncos news that has come down here in the last 45 minutes or so, and that is that Davis Webb has withdrawn his name from the Raiders head coaching search, and according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, is, quote, considered a prime candidate for his current team's OC job, source says. He also received several OC requests. So if Davis Webb's going to withdraw from the Raiders, we know he talked to Buffalo as well. They've obviously since made a hire with Joe Brady. Do you think this is just a lining of what we all sort of initially thought when Joe Lombardi got fired, that they just did that with the full intention to promote Davis Webb?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the expectation at this point, and frankly, I think it's the right call. And I go back to a conversation that you and I had probably maybe a month and a half ago about Davis Webb and how his name was starting to pop up as a potential head coach. Like, this is a guy that you want to keep around for as long as possible. I mean, we'll see how long Sean Payton coaches, but if things go well, who's to say that Davis Webb cannot be a candidate for the next Broncos head coaching job whenever that opens up potentially. And just to bring it back to the Sean Bo dynamic real quick, I even think back to that Russell Wilson conversation against Detroit, as you alluded to, where he's blown up on Russ and Russ just stood there and kind of took it. Davis Webb seems to be the buffer between the two. Like, Sean Payton very much respects Davis Webb. I don't think he's, parting ways with his longtime friend Joe Lombardi if he doesn't feel comfortable with Davis Webb being the OC. But I think Davis Webb also has a really strong relationship with Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham and the whole quarterback room as a whole. You go back to the quotes and the conversations that we heard during the preseason about him calling plays and how people think he's a young, budding offensive mind in this league. So, title aside, I think Davis Webb is really important to just kind of keeping this thing together and serving as kind of that good cop, bad cop between the quarterback's room and the head coach.
Well, and as Greg Penner's watched the last couple of days played out, he's probably thinking, yep, we got to keep Davis Webb in this building if he is indeed that buffer, because Greg knows how important Sean is, and no one's arguing that. And Greg knows how important Bo is, and no one's arguing that. So if Davis is the one that can sort of mend fences, if you will, then he's going to want to keep him. A little more from our guy James Palmer, who is, of course, an insider right here on The Fan. He says Davis Webb certainly impressed during his head coaching interviews, to the point that some in the interview process came away fully believing at just 31 he's ready to be a head coach right now. Others said they wouldn't disagree with that notion, but also suggested another year with Sean Payton is not a bad thing either. The future is very bright for Webb nonetheless. Really interesting reporting from James Palmer there, that, mixed reviews. There's definitely people that think, yeah, Davis Webb's ready to do it right now, go be a head coach. But then he's got other sources saying, Davis, go get another year with Sean under your belt. Go be the OC in Denver, and then get a job the next cycle or the cycle after. You're 31. You're going to have a long time to be a head coach in this league. I thought that was really good context from James, sort of adding to what Ian Rappaport had said, just in terms of there are folks in the NFL circles who think him just going to be Sean's OC is the best step at this point in his career.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And the other thing that it wouldn't surprise me if Sean and George Payton and all those guys kind of put their arm around Davis figuratively and were like, hey, yeah, you can go coach the Raiders, you can coach these other teams, but if you stay here, you're going to be a better, more attractive candidate in the next handful of cycles. And I wouldn't surprise me either if there's some conversation. Look, there's only so many head coaching jobs available in the NFL, but do you want to go coach the Raiders, where they burn through coaches left and right? And what is it? Mark Davis, I think, is still paying 4 coaches at this point. So, you might be short-lived for some of these opportunities, whereas if you stay in Denver, we'll see if play calling maybe comes with this, if he is hired as the OC. You get to kind of sharpen your craft here a little bit and make yourself a prime candidate. Let's say, Baltimore was open next season, right? Some of these premier jobs, and I believe it was linked to Buffalo, which is obviously an intriguing option after they hire Joe Brady, of course. But do you want to go coach the Raiders or the Cardinals, or do you want to try to be in a position for one of the more attractive head coaching openings?
Yeah, what if Green Bay comes open? What if Philly comes open? What if Cincinnati comes open? There's all these jobs where it feels like the coaches are leading good teams, but they're also kind of hanging on by a thread. I'm talking about LaFleur in Green Bay, Sirianni in Philly, and Zach Taylor with the Bengals. So, at a certain point, I think you're onto something, man. Do you really want to go coach the Raiders just so you can get fired in 2 years and then be back at square one?
And you know how hard it is to get hired again as a head coach. Look at Vance Joseph. Exactly. We thought at times during the middle of the season that it was almost a foregone conclusion that Vance Joseph would be a head coach elsewhere, especially with the sheer number of openings that were available throughout the course of the season and into the offseason. The fact that Vance Joseph isn't, we'll see if he gets hired by Arizona, the only job remaining. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the case, but you might only get one shot at this, and you want to align yourself with success. And going back to the point that you made, Will, he's a young offensive mind in this league. He's not even 40 years old yet, not even close to being 40.
He's barely 30.
Right, so it's there's plenty of tread left on his coaching tires. And here's the other thing that I think needs to be said. We'll see if they do end up hiring as the offensive coordinator. You're going to be taken care of here at the Walter Pennant ownership group. Whether it's financially, resource-wise, this is a good place to be, even if you're not, quote-unquote, on top of the mountain as a head coach.
Yeah, Dante points out, good fair point, that LaFleur signed a contract extension with Green Bay. That said, contracts do get ripped up all the time. Anilo just pointed out the Raiders are paying 4 different guys. Yeah. If LaFleur goes 7-10 or 6-11 and underachieves, maybe he does get fired. But just using it as an example of why Davis Webb may want to wait another hiring cycle. Here was Bo Nix yesterday on his relationship with the guy who looks like he could be his new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, just speaking for myself, I think, Davis is a tremendous coach. He understands the role of being a coach. He understands the role of teaching, really knows how to communicate with your players and with me. He's helped me in 2 years just consolidate, make things simple, and just keep the main thing, and taking a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and been able to just roll right into it. And, I think highly of him. I know he's a really good football coach, and I know he's got a lot in store for him in the future. Don't know what it looks like. A lot of speculation. You never know until it happens. But, for him, if, say he was a head coach in the division, I'd enjoy beating his butt 2 years, every year, 2 times a year. But, fortunately, I think, nothing I can do about it. And so I can just stay in my lane and make sure that I'm just doing my best. And I know everything, it's all going to work out. The season's going to get here. We're going to have an OC. We're going to have a play caller. We're going to have our team. And we're going to go out and try to, beat our opponents. And so, but, just me speaking on him, he's awesome coach, awesome, going to be an awesome, whatever role he's in, he's going to do great things. But whether it's head coach, whether it's OC, whether it's, continue to be a quarterback coach and developer, I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, really nice things from Bo Nix there. Obviously said he'd love to kick his butt twice. If you're just tuning in, that's not going to happen. Davis Webb has withdrawn himself from Raiders head coaching consideration. I guess he could still land somewhere else, but at this point, it looks like things are lining up for him to be Denver's OC. That said, there was another interview the Broncos did today, and that was with Ronald Curry, who's currently the quarterback's coach of the Buffalo Bills. And you go to Curry's bio. Curry joined the Bills staff after spending 8 seasons coaching in different offensive capacities on the Saints staff. Ooh. So there's a history there between Ronald Curry and Sean Payton. And Mike Kliss, our 9 News and 104.3 The Fan Insider, reported, 2 hours ago or so at this point, that Sean tried to make Ronald Curry the OC a couple years ago, or at least considered him, and ultimately went with Joe Lombardi instead. So, yeah, I think everything points towards Davis Webb, but they are going to do a process. There's Rooney Rule considerations in this as well. But I guess what I'm being careful on here is maybe we shouldn't just assume it's Webb. What if Curry knocked their socks off today? He's got a relationship with Sean. Sean wanted him before. I'm going to say 80% chance it's Davis Webb, but I do think we should keep an open mind to that other 20%.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Now, here's what I will say. I think Broncos country would be very disappointed if it's not Davis Webb, just considering how he's talked about among league circles as a rising offensive star. And no disrespect to Curry here, but I don't know how many people necessarily know his name, and I understand that it's not a face value or face recognition type of dynamic here, but I also think the hiring of Davis Webb, and again, I think the interesting thing is, and I think it was Ian Rappaport who put it out yesterday, that Joe Brady was someone that Denver was potentially looking at an offensive coordinator with the opportunity to call plays. If Sean Payton were to hire Davis Webb, I think that signals a bit of a change in his mindset versus if they go with the familiar guy from his days in New Orleans. He's doubling down on what he's been doing his entire career. And I think there's a bit of hope in Broncos country to a certain extent that Sean Payton will evolve and truly just become head CEO, head coach, and default play calling to somebody else. And it seems like Davis Webb would be that prime candidate.
Well, you raise $1 million question. Is Sean going to give up play calling? Because with that report that Joe Brady could have come here with the ability to call plays, obviously he was trying to entice him to come to Denver. Now, of course, he got the head coaching job with the Bills. You're always going to take that gig working with Josh Allen than you are going to come take an OC gig here. Not that Bo Nix can't be in the same conversation as Josh Allen, but you'd much rather be the head guy with a chance to win Lombardi than an assistant. Do you think Sean will give it up? Will he give it up this coming season? 2 years from now? 3 years from now? How much longer is he going to do this? Will Sean just call plays until he retires? I'm not sure, but I'm curious your thought on that as you've sort of gotten to know Sean Payton over the last couple of years. What's your general read? And I know you're not obviously reporting anything, just looking for an opinion here.
Yeah, I'm kind of at where I'm in the situation where I'll believe it when I see it. Now, I do think there's an opportunity that Sean maybe wakes up and decides that he doesn't want to call plays anymore. You know where I kind of go back to is that quote that he gave entering into the Buffalo games where he's like, they say when you get older, you shouldn't drive in the rain as much. He was talking about the run game, if I remember correctly, in that specific quote, but maybe that speaks to something larger with maybe just some self-reflection that Sean has had. And another thing that stands out to me is, I think it was on Tuesday when he met with the media. I don't think it was after the game immediately, but he was talking about how on that 4th and 1 play call, the reason he burned a timeout is like the good old days, right? You get a measurement and that buy you some time. You think that if he's not calling plays and if he's not all hung up on what he wants to call in this 4th and 1 scenario, that he can just kind of take a step back and be a head coach and not try to double dip as play caller and head coach at the same time. So look, I'll believe it when I see it, like I said, with respect to Sean Payton allowing somebody else to call plays, but I do think it'd be the wise thing to do.
Yeah, and you wonder, is that a negotiation that's going on behind closed doors? Davis Webb says, hey, if I go take an OC job in city X, Y, or Z, I get to call plays. Yeah, I want to stay in Denver. Yeah, I want to work with you. I want to work with Bo. but I want to call plays. We don't know. We're not privy to those at this very moment, but let's say this goes on through the weekend and there's still not a resolution. That could very well be a sticking point.
Well, and to bring it back to where we all started, right? Like maybe there is some frustration between Bo Nix and Sean Payton with the way that he's calling plays, right? Rushing in the play call itself. Like maybe Bo vocalizes that in some meetings, maybe even with ownership to a certain extent. And again, going back to the power dynamic that I laid out, I think Bo Nix has asserted himself as the leader of this team, both vocally and with this play. So if that's something that he talks about with Greg Penner and George Payton and Sean Payton's not having anything of it, maybe that's where a Greg Penner or a George Payton step in and say, Sean, you're our head coach. We love you as our head coach. But let's listen to our franchise quarterback here and try to be better for the long haul because of it.
Very interesting. We'll certainly keep you posted on the future of Denver's offensive coordinator. Signs pointing towards Davis Webb, but certainly nothing official at this point. All right, let's go to Ball Arena next. That's where our guy Jake Shapiro is. And he just talked to old friend Michael Porter Jr. Plus bad injury news on Aaron Gordon. A nice Nuggets roundup coming up next.
The Broncos have fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi.
We take the next step today.
With a rising star like Davis Webb waiting in the wings, is Sean Payton clearing the path to keep his talented QB coach in Denver? Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Football fans, playoff season is here, and Foundation Chevrolet is kicking off with the Start the Year in Drive sales event. Catch a ride to the playoffs in an all-new Chevy Silverado. Built tough, powerful off the line, and ready for every mile-high touchdown. Together, let's drive. Go Gridiron, go big, big savings. Go Foundation. See us in Wheat Ridge or visit FoundationChevrolet.com and catch a ride.
Foundation rules. Woohoo!
I lost 60 pounds with soda, and the weight came off naturally. The biggest difference was having my own nutritionist, someone I could text anytime with questions. SodaWeightLoss.com. They deliver fast, easy, convenient weight loss with no hunger, no guesswork, and clients routinely look and feel 10 years younger. That's why they have nearly 9,000 positive Google reviews and thousands of before and after photos to prove it. And right now, join Soda, and your partner joins for free. Go to SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda Weight Loss is, say it with me, state of the art.
Discover incredible savings at the Mountain High Appliance Clearance Center in Denver. I'm Brad Barnett, president of Mountain High Appliance. Our clearance center offers a huge selection of ranges, refrigerators, laundry, and more. Save up to 60% on open box, scratch and dent, display models, and overstocked appliances from Bosch, Thermador, KitchenAid, and many more. When you're looking for great deals on appliances, our clearance center is your go-to destination for the best prices and selection.
Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store.
Thank you.
Brandon Stokely here from Colorado's hometown HVAC team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Is your heating system struggling to perform and need to be traded? It has never been easier to get a quote for a new heating system. Rocks Heating and Air offers a free online heating and cooling quoting system so that you can quickly and accurately get pricing on a new system. Only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Denver Men's Hoops hosts Omaha Saturday, January 31st. Tip-off set for 2 p.m. in Hamilton.
Jeremiah Burke, wide open three. Yes, sir.
Create a home court advantage for the Pios. Wear your crimson and gold and cheer them to a victory. Got a group of 10 or more? We have discounted tickets and experiences available. Chat with us online to learn more and save. Denver hosts Omaha Saturday at 2 p.m. Join us.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
A lot of personal injury lawyers make claims about how good they are. But how do you know who's the best? Who will fight to get you the money you deserve? At Berg Simpson, we don't rely on simple claims like other firms. We have 27 best lawyers in America, 17 super lawyers, and we're one of the National Trial Lawyers' top 25 most influential law firms. Compare us to other firms, then call Berg Simpson.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Babe, your arms look amazing. Working out is paying off.
Thanks. I just wish my chest matched. No matter what I do, I'm frustrated with my man boobs.
Hey, don't beat yourself up. More than half of men have gynecomastia. It's gland tissue, not laziness. Same thing is happening to my friend Trisha's husband. He went to Dr. Cameron Dastery at Modern Surgical Arts of Denver.
For real? You get good results?
He got great results. Call him, honey.
Call today. They're offering complimentary consultations for the fan listeners. 303-470-3400 or at modernsurgicalarts.com.
Jewelry Graham. Hi, I'm Brian, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. We have just the right gift for your sweetheart this Valentine's Day. Any style, any budget. Like heart-shaped necklaces, birthstones, or hand-matched diamond studs. Getting engaged? Create a dream ring and choose from natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes. Come see us in store or at shaneco.com because a friend wants you to win Valentine's Day. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
All right, let's head down to Ball Arena, bring in our guy Jake Shapiro from DenverSports.com. He is in the building for Nuggets and Nets tonight. The Nets. Michael Porter Jr. back in town, met with Jake and the rest of the media here in the last hour. We want to get to that, Jake, but let's start with the news of the day. Fill us in on what's going on with Aaron Gordon, yet another injury setback. For a guy that's honestly beloved, and I love him, but health really starting to become a big-time concern with AG.
Yeah, this is the same right hamstring injury he had earlier this year, which kept him out the entire month of December. He's expected to miss at least 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be reevaluated after that period. And this is the same injury, but in another leg that he had during the playoffs last year, where he was seriously injured in Game 6 of the second round against the Thunder, and then he tried to play through it in Game 7, right? It was a left hamstring strain, so now you're dealing with 2 years of serious time of hamstring strain, and Aaron Gordon had just played 10 really good games for the Nuggets here over this stretch where all these guys were hurt, right? He has been important to them. I think it's important to note this number, 16. We all know 16 is the number of games you need to win an NBA title. Aaron Gordon hasn't played in 16 straight games, 23-24 season now. That's really concerning.
So, Jake, with respect to this season in particular, I mean, you mentioned the 4 to 6 week timeline, obviously All-Star break coming up as well. Are we kind of just into maintenance mode with Aaron Gordon, trying to get him ready to the playoffs, maybe a brief ramp-up stint ahead of the postseason? I know we've got quite a bit of time until we get to that portion of the schedule, but it seems like this hamstring injury is not going to go away. How do you think Denver handles him the rest of the season?
Well, the hope is that it does go away if you rest him for 6 weeks. Like, last time he did rest for 6 weeks and it went away. Unfortunately, he re-injured it, and that's the tricky part about hamstring injuries, as we've known for a long time. It's one of those injuries that just seems to keep popping up. But as far as the test and everything, the Nuggets played it right. They did what they could, and now they'll hope they can do what they can this time, and it'll hold. And I would say that they'll be extremely cautious with him in the last 10 to 15 games of the season. But it's worth noting the Nuggets have only had 15 games this season where they went 12-3, where their entire starting five was healthy. They're only going to get about 10 to maybe 15 games at the end of the season with that starting five, and it's important that these guys gel. So I think the Nuggets are going to try and get Aaron Gordon back at least for a couple weeks towards the end of the regular season, get him back into the starting lineup, get him up to full speed, and we'll see from there. But it's not worrying about Aaron Gordon's chemistry with Nikola Jokic. We know he's got it, right? It's worrying about how Cam Johnson fits in a unit in important stretches with this team, which we really haven't seen. Johnson was playing his best ball right before he got hurt in mid-December, and that was when Gordon and Brown were both off the floor for the Nuggets. So we haven't really seen it together for the Nuggets this year, and we won't.
All right, Jake, I want to get to the other injuries as well, but let's hit on MPJ first because He obviously is back in town, an NBA champion with the Nuggets, gets traded in a huge trade. It was one of those you kind of pause Twitter going, whoa, they just dealt MPJ, obviously, to Brooklyn for Cam Johnson, who we haven't got to see a ton of. I know he's putting up huge stats for the Nets. Was that sort of your expectation? And then also fill us in on what you learned talking to Michael Porter Jr. here in the last hour.
Yeah, I've always thought Michael Porter Jr. was a borderline all-star talent in this league, and he's showing that with the numbers he's been putting up. There are only a couple players in the NBA, mainly guys like Victor Wembanyama, that put up similar statistics in terms of rebounding and three-point shot making and points per night that MPJ has. And that's been a big benefit to MPJ in his career and finding out who he is as a player. And he said he's really relishing this opportunity to explore his game and work with young players and teach them some things he learned from his time in Denver. He said as much as that this trade was a win for everyone involved. He actually talked to Cam Johnson. They did a little podcast trade-off, I believe today or yesterday, so that's coming out soon. And both guys kind of agreed that this has been a trade that was a win for both organizations. And I tend to agree. I think Michael Porter Jr., and he admitted as much, needed a change of scenery. Now, that doesn't diminish at all what he did in Denver. He's an all-time Nugget, litters the franchise leaderboard statistics all over the place, and was the starting small forward on the title team. I think David Adelman said it best when he said today, he's an all-time Nugget, and I completely agree with him.
Well, kind of in that vein, I know you just said that you agreed with it, but I think there's some Nuggets fans that are, love Michael Porter Jr. There's another half that were happy to see him move on to different scenarios there with the Brooklyn Nets. How would you kind of sum up Michael Porter's tenure with the Denver Nuggets? Obviously, a guy that at one point in his college career, coming out of high school as well, was considered to be one of the top picks in the NBA draft, falls to 14 with the back injuries and whatnot, wins an NBA championship, and is now thriving with the Brooklyn Nets.
I would say, as of today, he's the best shooter the Denver Nuggets have ever had in franchise history. He was a talent that they were lucky that fell to them in the draft. His career, while mired in injuries, I think the response he had and the ability to play through those and come back from those is something that is really honorable. David Adelman even said as much today that he looks up to Mike in a way for his ability to respond to setbacks. And I honestly do too. Like, Mike's mentality is just unbelievable that he was able to play through it. Some Nuggets fans might have found it soft at times. I know, as someone that was up close to it, what he had to go through on a day-to-day basis to even get onto the court. So for the Nuggets to have that talent and have a guy that was willing to take a step back, to be surrounded by the best player in the NBA and find a way to win the first title in Denver Nuggets history, to me, that is a really honorable thing. And I'll always remember Michael Porter Jr. as a very essential Denver Nugget player and a guy who will go down in the franchise's halls, maybe not with, obviously, the David Thompson, Alex English, Nikola Jokic class, but there's a whole other class of players that were great Denver Nuggets, like Fat Lever and Muhammad Abdul-Rauf and, guys that go back all the way to the ABA days.
You make a compelling case, Jake, but I also think you should be hitting up MPJ to be his agent, because that was a very nice answer for a guy who completely disappeared in the last two playoff runs, in my opinion. I thought he cost him against the Wolves, and I thought he cost him against the Thunder, even though I understand he was very hurt against the Thunder. I'll give you a rebuttal on that, and also fill us in on other injury news, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, and Nikola Jokic that you learned tonight.
Well, Will, your fellow Missouri guy did not disagree with you. He said today, I feel like we should have won 2 or 3 rings, and I still have regrets about the Minnesota Timberwolves series. And he was the guy that said he took responsibility after that series. So, there is a what if there, and you're completely right to mention that. As far as other injuries with the Denver Nuggets, David Adelman today updated the media saying Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson, and Christian Brown are all expected to play before the All-Star break. I just saw Cam Johnson working out on the floor. He looks pretty good. Nikola Jokic has been routinely working out on the floor. I believe he could come back sometime in the next couple games. Christian Brown is the one that seems a little bit weird, right? Because that ankle injury seems to have been more serious than we were led to believe. And his comeback, which was 3 games long, looked a little bit premature. And now you're wondering about his long-term, at least in terms of this season, the long-term athleticism this year. And that's such a key part of Christian Brown's game. So I'm very curious how this team comes together. And besides the All-Star break, February is a very chaotic part of the Denver Nuggets schedule, and you're seeing it right now as we get into this meat of the schedule. They played the second best team in the NBA, the best team, the hottest team in the NBA, all on this homestand. So it gets really tough here to the Nuggets. So having these guys back, even if David Adelman says some of these games are going to be scrimmages because we don't have opportunity to practice, just having those bodies is really important to the Nuggets who look to be tiring out a little bit, being so shorthanded for so long.
All right, great reporting, Jake. Great stuff. Appreciate your time. We'll look for your coverage on DenverSports.com, and going to have to let us know how that MPJ video tribute looks tonight at Ball Arena.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, there he goes. Good info from Jake. And you know what? I give Michael credit. I didn't realize that. I had not seen that on social media, that he did go to the podium today and said, yeah, I still think about that Timberwolves series. Because, quick thought from you, they very well could have gone back-to-back if MPJ performs better. Not that he was the only guy who had a bad series, but he had a very bad series against Minnesota.
Yeah, and you and I were discussing it in the break. Like, I'm willing to give Michael Porter Jr. a little bit of grace just because he's a member and a core member at that. I understand how he performed in that Minnesota series, but you look at the body of work in the regular season, like he, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray were kind of the three core members that led Denver to their first championship. And because of that, I'm always going to love and respect the guy for what he did for this city. And, you know, a fan favorite to a certain extent as well. And, yeah, you know, and he also said, I saw one clip that Jake put out, that it felt like it was time for a change of scenery. Like, they won the championship. They kind of plateaued the last 2 years. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the most fun players to watch in the NBA now with the Brooklyn Nets, which, frankly, should not be a surprise to many. That was the expectation, at least, that Jake and I had when he departed the Denver Nuggets. But, you know, I look back on Michael Porter Jr.'s tenure with the Nuggets with fond memories. That's where I'm at.
All right, well, we've got some more injury news, not just Aaron Gordon, but there's injury news across Denver sports. And I want to run a list by my guy, Anilo, how snake-bitten we've been over the last few months, and we will do that next.
Which pending free agent do the Denver Broncos have to bring back next season?
I will say this. If I did the ranking, right, of these four notable free agents, I'm going to put JFM first. If they don't want to prioritize him, I'm going to. You win football games from the big uglies up front.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Progressive presents a guided meditation.
Hear the birds sing. A chipmunk nibbling on an acorn. Smell the pine needles gently falling into your living room as the breeze blows through the gaping hole in your roof. Gaze up at that broken tree branch and relax, because you bundled your home and auto with Progressive and have the peace of mind of 24/7 protection. So relaxing.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero taxes and zero penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset that's held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just text the word SECURE, SECURE, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts. You can't predict the future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. So take that first step right now. Text SECURE to the number 989898 today. That's SECURE to 989898.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low testosterone, and treating low T is what we do. But this year, we're also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring growth hormone peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more. Designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. With our low T treatments combined with our body composition programs, most men notice real improvements. More energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and often a renewed sex drive as well. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by TradeGen Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, good stuff from our guy Jake Shapiro. Appreciate him hopping on the program, but we only talk Nuggets injuries with him, and it's a long list, and I've got a list I want to run by Anilo. For as good as the Broncos, Nuggets, and Avs are and have been, Denver is in the midst of a brutal injury stretch since early November. Think about the guys that have gotten hurt that are household names in this town in the last 3 months. Bo Nix, Nikola Jokic, Gabriel Landeskog, J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Gordon, Devon Tays, Christian Brown, Troy Franklin, Brandon Jones, Cam Johnson, Pat Bryant. And that's not all of them. There's others. There's been guys in and out of the lineups for all 3 of those teams with the Avs, Nuggets, and the Broncos. I mean, that list, Nix, Jokic, Landeskog, Dobbins, Gordon, Tays, Brown, Franklin, Jones.
It's a long list.
It's insane how snake-bitten we have been. And honestly, what started happening in early November, mid-November, early December? Talk of 3 parades. And ever since the whole 3 parade thing, and I'm not, do I believe in jinxes or whatever? Not in this case. I certainly don't. But it does feel like we coincided going, man, we could have 3 parades, which obviously now is down to 2. The Broncos will not have a parade. But it's a stunning list when you really kind of lay it out like that and think about just how many big-time guys have gotten hurt the last 3 months.
Yeah, and it's one of the few things that you can't necessarily control. I mean, even just going back to the conversation we just had with Jake Shapiro, right? Like, they thought Aaron Gordon's hamstring was healthy and ready to go, and a handful of games back into his return, it flares up again. And so, Landeskog, too, just knowing what he had to come back from. And
he just runs into the goalposts.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really is terrible. I mean, Bo Nix, right? You and I were just talking during the break that if Bo Nix is playing that AFC Championship game. We're probably getting ready to go to San Francisco right now. And it's the unfortunate reality of the situation as it pertains to sports. And maybe this isn't fair because of how close the Broncos were, and maybe I just put my foot in my mouth with what I just said. I've always put the Nuggets and the Avalanche in a different category than I have the Broncos. Like, I thought the Broncos had a good chance. To me, it's a championship or bust season with the other two. And that might be the expectation now for the Broncos next year off the heels of a 14-win regular season and all that good stuff. But at least with respect to the Nuggets and the Avalanche, there's still plenty of meat left on the bone for the regular season. Get these guys right, and I think both of those things are still very much on the table.
Yeah, and we've sort of always said season enders are the ones that just really kill you. What happened to Bo Nix? Season ending.
Yep.
What happened to Brandon Jones? Season ending. J.K. Dobbins, if they had made the Super Bowl, maybe would have played, but he got hurt November 6th, and it ultimately ended his season. All those Avs and Nuggets guys I just rattled off, every single one of them, and we're knocking on wood and all that, should be back this year. Not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. And is anyone going to remember if the Avs hoist Lord Stanley or the Nuggets get another Larry O, that they had injury-riddled regular seasons? They're not. So that's why it was so frustrating with the Broncos, is that like these guys' seasons were over and that ultimately derailed Denver. Whereas Jokic, Landeskog, Gordon, Brown, Cam Johnson, amongst others, Devontae's, they will be back. They will be back. Now, that doesn't mean other injuries won't pop up, but I think you're right. That's the silver lining in all this. It's really frustrating right now. Nuggets, we haven't had Jokic for the last 15 games. Avalanche are in their first real slump of the season. I think they really miss Landeskog's leadership, and obviously Taves being paired with Makar. But there's light at the end of the tunnel for those two teams, whereas the Broncos, once Bo broke his ankle, that was pretty much all she wrote.
Yeah, it was living on a prayer with Jarrett Stidham, right? And to be fair, if Will Lutz makes that kick and Stidham doesn't have that ridiculous backwards pass fumble thing, whatever you want to call it, it could be a completely different conversation. And look, I think the Broncos would have ultimately lost in the Super Bowl, but you could have at least gotten there. I think the way that game went against New England is more frustrating than losing the game itself. And I know the game's a little over and done with at this point, but I'll say this because I was talking about it all week with some colleagues and friends alike. To me, that was more so about the Broncos losing the game than it was New England winning it. But of course, that's over and done with at this point. Whereas with the Nuggets and the Avalanche, I know the Avalanche have been a bit up and down over the last week or so, and the Nuggets have been injury-riddled as well. Looks like they're running out of steam to a certain extent without the big fella out there. When they're healthy and ready to go, they're gonna. In the case of the Avalanche, they're going to be the favorite to win the NBA, or to win the Stanley Cup. And in the case of the Nuggets, they're going to be a top 2 or 3 team.
Yeah, no, that's all fair. And listen, man, I don't think you're out of line at all saying the Broncos lost that game more than the Patriots won it. I was not impressed with New England at all.
Drake May had 86 passing yards.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
Not 186, 86.
8-6. And Stidham handed him 7 of the 10 points with the fumble.
Ugh.
Will Lutz had the bad missed kick that he's just simply got to make before halftime. And then the second one was probably just a product of bad luck. They were 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage when they should have been 8, and it got tipped at the last second. But yeah, I'll ask you this, would you have almost have felt better if they had lost 31-7?
Oh man, that's
easier
tough
to swallow, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Not as many what ifs.
And yeah, it's a fair point you make, and I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people were going crazy about the 4th and 1 call. Couple of thoughts on that real quick. I don't think it's about going for it on 4th and 1. It's more so the play call, but I think that the play that gave the game away was the Stidham fumble, because that was New England had done nothing but punt up until that point. That essentially handed New England their first touchdown of the game, which ultimately proved to be the difference maker. So, look, it is what it is. I guess to answer your question, yeah, maybe it would have been a little bit easier to stomach just because Denver's defense did their job. All you needed was a little bit of life from this offense. And I found it interesting that Greg Penner came out and said, when they're in their new stadium with the retractable roof, that the stadium would have been, or the roof would have been closed for a game like that, despite the weather being fine in the first half. It is what it is.
Yeah, and that may be more of an NFL thing. Dante and I got into that a little bit last night. Is it an NFL thing? Is it a home team decision? Whatever. But yeah, if the weather doesn't come, does Will Lutz make what? What was it, 42-yarder? Probably, because they probably line up properly because they can see the yard marks on the football field like they've done 100 other times this season.
Yeah, and not to sound like James, but like... Wow. Like no, not in a bad way, because he's always like, soft society, snow weather, this, that. I know they lost the game, but it was a fun environment for football on Sunday. I know they lost the game, but I'm going to miss those snow games.
That's like more snow games in October, I think. They're fun in the regular season. They're fun when your team wins.
Yeah.
But do you really want your playoff life coming down to the elements?
No, that's fair. And this is me taking the fan perspective out of it, just from like a pure spectator standpoint. It's probably fun to watch on TV.
I think we got to see it better on TV, honestly. Tony Romo mentioned that a few times of like, what you guys are seeing on TV is actually a much clearer picture than what inside the stadium looks like. I mean, could you guys even see the field from the press box?
It was getting worse and worse and worse by the minute. The drive home was not fun.
No. The whole game wasn't fun.
No.
I mean, it was really fun when he hit Mims and then hit Sutton.
You felt like you had life.
And that was basically all the fun we had in the AFC title game. Yeah, just a crazy list of injuries in Denver sports across all three of our contending teams, and it's just been a frustrating few months. Here's keeping our fingers crossed that better health awaits both the Avalanche and the Nuggets, and all the Broncos can be back fully healthy for training camp. For Dante and Anilo, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey, Colorado, when you're in the market for a new truck or SUV, head to Johnson Auto Plaza. Explore their huge selection of new Chevy, Buick, and GMC trucks and SUVs. Find your new truck or SUV at JohnsonChevyBuickGMC.com. Stop in and experience the Johnson advantage that so many now know. Johnson Auto Plaza is your truck and SUV headquarters. Just north of E470 on Highway 85, JohnsonChevyBuickGMC.com.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040. Hey, I got a real cool story I wanted to share with you. Many years ago, my lovely wife Kimberly wrote down a prayer that said, God, make me a lighthouse so I can be a light to others when they're in a dark place.